service here.
Storky driver here.
You better have insurance.
I got these scratches on my face today. I was driving my car, minding my own business, and an alien spaceship crashes into it. You know, the usual. Pretty crazy stuff.
It's a freaking spaceship. You go get insurance on a freaking spaceship. Good luck with that, buddy.
And then the other big closure we're doing is on Wacker.
We have a 3-block street closure on Wacker Drive, which is one of the major streets in Chicago. This set is supposed to be Hong Kong. We were looking for a lot of glass and steel, a lot of modern architecture like they have in Hong Kong. So we've covered every sign, every street sign. There's 168 street signs.
We're reversing the traffic, painting out the street markings.
Here we go, ready, everybody.
We try to be prepared for lots of curveballs because he's a very spontaneous and creative guy. So, you know, when he gets here, he's thinking up shots as we go. I have everybody's phone number in my cell phone. Any question, like they just decided they wanted to have a camera inside that lobby, so I call up the general manager, can we put a camera inside the lobby? I have people stationed at every single building to kind of create a playground for him.
Guys, we're rolling, guys.
4, 3, 2, 1.
The city call it Lakeside, and it's the old US Steel site. Nothing there anymore. It's a 600-acre leveled site really close to Chicago. The only thing that remains are the iron ore walls, which were so hard and so substantial that it broke the machine that tried to take it down. That's why they're still standing.
We're looking at that blue band right there.
Blue band.
Okay, here we go. Hey, Mark. Ready. And 3-1,000.
A great backlot for us to create some Hong Kong tsunami type of events and have a bit of room to move.
That's what I'm talking about. Woo!
There's going to be action. It all starts lifting on action. You know what I'm saying?
3, 2, 1, action.
The spaceship is a big giant magnet, and it's lifting all these metal things up. So it lifted the bus up, we had rigged on its side, lifted it up, rolled it over, and the stunt people fell out through breakaway glass windows onto the ground.
We have stunt guys falling out, and as the bus starts flipping upside down, we go right under where the door would be, so directly under the bus and then towards another convertible where other guys are then flying out of. Oh, that's cool. It's pretty exciting stuff. You have people literally within inches, not only running by the cart, but also falling on top of the cart or falling right in front of the cart. So a little bit of avoidance there, plus keeping a smooth path with the camera. It's a pretty exciting deal.
What we were trying to simulate here is that a boat was being lifted up and it was dropped into the water. Everything we did was the splash. And we had come up with this concept of using those tanks because you need to get a lot of water a lot of times. So dump tanks have been around since the beginning of movies. It's, you know, it's a device, holds a lot of water, lets a lot of water go at one time.
John Fraser built 6 of these dump tanks, 11,000 gallons each, and there's 6 of them up there with big trap doors that are fired by cutting a cable and dumping all the contents at once.
You need a lot of head pressure. Those tanks are 40 feet in the air. So when you let that water go, it moves things.
Are you pulling all of them? You're looking out that way, and then you say back up, right away, okay? You going. 3, 2, 1, and action.
put a bunch of weights on the back top of it, and then we weakened the frame real good so that when it crushes, it accordion real flat on the ground and blew up simultaneously.
So this is the grand finale. We're supposed to be in Hong Kong, but we're at the Damon Silos, which is state-owned property for sale off the north side of the 55, going out of Chicago.
Quiet, guys. Let's roll on this 40, okay? Quiet. Ready, and dust, and boom.
As long as we left it in a safer or as safe condition as found, we could do pretty much anything we liked.
Okay, let's go hot, please, going hot.
These were silos built in, I think, 1930s.
Get out of here now!
And Michael came in and destroyed the shit out of them. Basically brought his chaos to Chicago.
Everything that we do in the movies is, we're not really ever blowing anything up.
I got it! I got it!
We're simulating.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. The helmet's filled.
When we blew up the two walkways that connect the silos, that was the real deal.
They did ask us if we could drop the walkways when they knew that we were interested in shooting there. It just turned into a big gag for us that's pretty big and exciting.
And what happens, though, is when you're doing the real deal, that's when you really have to be careful, because that's when things fly. I wouldn't be any closer than this.
That's a real heavy-duty causeway. They used to transport the grain through it on big conveyors. It's 8 feet wide, it's 10 feet high, 3 inches thick of concrete all the way through.
And I had to go up with a concrete saw. We cut it in 3 places just to make sure that when it fell, it would all break away.
Everybody to stay out of the set. Everybody to stay out of the set. All right, let's roll video. All right, we need to roll high moves. Roll the high moves.
Then we blast it and down she falls.
You know, you're 125 feet in the air. You don't want to have the fire department or any of the special effects crew members to run up those stairs and put out a fire. So we ran our own sprinkler system in the whole building. And then as soon as the explosion went off, the water was right there. We just revved up the pumps and put all the fires out. And those are things that you do just to make everything safe.
That's great.
Good. Hey, looks good. Also goes in.
Let's see it again.
I didn't think it was going to be that big.
It's 8 a.m. and we're thinking about maybe dropping those 2 bridges. Well, where did they go? Where did they go? Somebody beat us to it.
Yet another situation where I thought, okay, Michael's finally lost it. He wants us to do Hong Kong in Detroit.
Hong Kong in Detroit. Well, it says it itself, does it not? Hong Kong in Detroit.
You sort of go, you sort of clean your ears out and think, okay.
Creating Hong Kong in the middle of downtown Detroit is just pretty damn remarkable, you know?
We did build a huge amount there that you could never do in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is so dense.
You're cheating exterior photography in a U.S. city for Hong Kong. So the look of those sets is vital to that illusion.
We're in the middle of downtown Detroit. This is an empty lot. And we have a big area we can build our buildings that we're going to destroy. And this is great. I mean, there's not much around here. You can close up the streets, and we sort of have our peace. That's the part that's going to break off. We're going to build scaffolding behind it because we want to hide that building because it would give Detroit away. So it's going to be like this bamboo scaffolding covering the whole building. We're not copying the street in Hong Kong. We're just trying to put buildings together that make sense while they're shooting them and then make sense when they mix it with real footage from Hong Kong.
And part of filming in an environment like this is we have different entities, including the Detroit People Mover. We just wrapped that. If you look at it, it's in Chinese. It runs about every 2 to 5 minutes, and they're willing to work with us while we're filming here. So they're actually going to be a big part of our set.
We built a lot of things that could be knocked down because, you know, you got 50-foot dinosaurs going through Hong Kong. They're going to knock a lot of stuff down. It's not a city built for dinosaurs.
For us in the construction end, it's very important to have that coordinated effort between the art department and us in construction because we have a tendency to like to build things straight and true. And in this particular instance, this thing's been aged. The buildings have to look like they're deteriorating. So it's a matter of how much age, how deteriorated the buildings need to look. And in this case, what we did is we did a series of 1x3 plan-ons, and then we put lath over it. So it gave that broken away look. And this here, of course, is not real rebar because it could be a safety issue.
We had 4 or 5 weeks working with construction, putting bullet hits in the walls.
They would build a partial set, and then we would go in and put what we call the cavity or the mortar. And then we would put our explosive charge in that cavity.
We have to run wires down each one of these holes, number, label them. Then we'll go back and put our swibs in, some debris.
And then they would plaster over that. When it's detonated, it gives you that illusion that we've made this big hole, but the hole is already there.
So we're gonna walk over to the noodle shop right now. These were very difficult to make, and Kevin Kropp, one of our set dressers, one of our buyers, figured out how to do this.
Exhibit A, first trial at making noodles, shredding paper towel through a shredder. It seemed to work from a distance, but they would have to paint them and weigh them down because they would blow too readily. So step B was to come up with something that had more weight and that the color was right. These are 48-foot long runs of rubber bands used to power model airplanes. The idea was based on images, references that Jeffrey found of noodles hanging from the rafters, essentially, of these noodle shops in China. And then the other part of the equation was a noodle making machine. So it was just a matter of gathering found parts. These are old conveyor belts. These are valve covers from a car engine, used as chain guards, a couple of pistons, and voila, we have a noodle shop.
So our first day in,